Hello, Spider Wayne here. Welcome back. This is part 2 of a 4-part video series that I'm doing on my Minimate camper. And in this video, I'm going to talk about some tips and some things to keep in mind, some do's and don'ts, as well as I'll finish with a basic setup of the camper. Okay, I'm going to start at the front of the camper here. And one of the first things you'll see is I have a master lock for my coupler latch. And that's just one of 3 identical master locks I have. I have one on each of the 2 latches on the side of the camper here, and all 3 are key to light. So what I did at the time I got this camper, I ordered, it was actually a set of 4 of these locks on Amazon. They're cheap. They are not anti-theft security locks. They are simply the lock that I use to make sure that the coupler latch stays down and secured. And there's a story about this. I'm going to refer to Jim, Old Guy on a Bike's channel. Jim has a very enlightening video in the past, a couple years ago, where during a ride, while he was towing his Minimate camper, his Minimate separated from the bike. And lo and behold, he posted it. And he did it as a very valuable lesson. So I will put a link to that video in the description down below. It is an amazing video. He happened to have 4 cameras running that day, 2 on his Minimate, 1 on his helmet, and 1 on the front of the bike looking backwards. And he shows all 4 angles of that Minimate separating from the bike. Double and triple check that your coupler is attached to the ball hitch. As far as the safety chains go, it's required by law. And there's several ways you can clip it onto your bike. I ended up choosing these snap carabiners. These are stainless steel. They're rated at 500 pounds each. And I like these because it's closed. And I just snap it open and I put one in each of the ring holes on the hitch. And you can use S-hooks, but to me they're open-ended. I mean, they'll do the trick, but I prefer these. You just got to make sure that whatever you use, it's got the weight rating. So that's the tongue of the trailer. Now, when this is attached to the bike and I get to my destination at my campsite, the one thing I had forgotten to do a couple of times is before you lift this off the bike, you've unlatched it, but before you lift it off, don't forget to pull down these front stabilizer jacks. That's just a tip. You put the 2 front ones down. Leave the back ones up until you're all set, because as you lift the front, you need that leeway in the back. I'm going to just try and do a short version on a camera that I have down here, just to show you how these work. The jacks all work the same on all 4 corners. I pull down and I lift up. And to take them out, I have to pull back down, and then there's a lever here, and that's how those stabilizer jacks work on all 4 corners. The next tip I got from Old Guy on a Bike as well. So on 2 of my locks here, I use these to make sure the latches stay secured, and they're locked. And I have 1 key that opens all 3, the one on my coupler and the 2 on the side here. So I can unlock them. But when they're hanging there, they can bang around. So the one thing I learned from Jim was put some Velcro on the latch there, put some on the back of the lock. It stays on there good. It works. Another tip I learned from Jim, he has a T-level, I think, on his tongue somewhere. I have mine on the base of this mount, which I'll talk about later. But I have a T-mount here. It's not precision, but it works. It at least gives you an idea how level you are when you get this thing set down. So you just want to make sure, you're going to be able to see if you are way off. Because in some campsites, you may not quite tell how level you are. I mean, eyeballing is probably good enough for most of these. You don't really need the level, but at least it'll tell you if you're way off. So that kind of helps. Okay, now moving to the back of the trailer. One of the things I've forgotten to do a couple of times is to actually lock the handle. It's back here. One advantage of the Mini-Mate is you do have access to internal storage while it's folded up. Sort of. When the lid is latched down, right now it's latched. If I try and open it, I cannot open it. It's inside the lip of the lid. But if I needed to get in there, if I'm traveling, and there's stuff that, let's say, I might need while I'm traveling, I'd want it at the back of the trailer. I can unlatch the locks. I can just release the latches, because those are easy to put back on. And if I want access to the internal storage, I have to lift up a bit. Then I can open the door. The problem is, if I let this weight down, it's going to rest on this door. So it's fiberglass. It could leave a mark and possibly scratch it. So, a hack I learned from Eddie, that's Windy Therapy, and he has since changed that hack a little bit, is I carry a pool noodle, and I'll tuck it under the corner. Then I can open and close my rear access, and I can get into something that I may need. And this holds the lid up. One of the reminders is you've got to lock the handle, because when you're traveling, this thing starts wiggling. And if it's not locked, it can wiggle to there, and then it's doing this. And I have a couple of marks in there. Nothing serious, but I have found when I stop, this thing's sitting like this. And I realized, oh, I forgot to lock it again. So when you close this, it's a good idea to lock the handle, and then it can't release. It'll stay closed. So this is a hack for a second purpose that I learned from Windy Therapy's channel. Now, Eddie, when he first did a video on his pool noodle, on his camper, he was using one on each side of the rails that were on the lid of his XL2 camper, so that when the lid flipped open, the rails were protected from any gravel, sand, or stone, and it was protecting the railings. But they're kind of thick. So he had since seen another video where another way to protect them was to put plastic on his rack. So he's changed it to the plastic. It looks better, it's thinner, works for his. Mine, I only need to put the pool noodle at the very end here. And the reason for that is when I release mine, that pool noodle is on the base, and when I put this in here and I lift the lid over to the other side, this is the bed support. So the lid is the bed. So I lift up, bring it over, and if I'm on gravel or sand, it's protected. And to finish off this part 2, what I'd like to do here is just a basic setup. It will likely take me a little longer than 2 minutes. I don't rush. But just to show you the basic setup without all the other accessories that'll come in part 3. So I have 2
extension rods to hook in. This is the first one. Push that one up to the far side. Hook it in, extend it out. Move the cushion out of the way, and this board out of the way. We'll step in, match the colors. Go blue to blue, yellow to yellow. Extend, tighten, open the zippers. They are waterproof zippers, very nice quality. All right, so underneath here, set it up for the bed position. I'm going to first put the supports come up, and support, pull the flaps down. And that's it. The basic camper without the awning. It's on top here. So that's it for part 2 of this video. Part 3 will be my accessories, and part 4 will be my camping gear. So until next time, take care.